Hey, I'm interviewing Reese Manigan, a filmmaker from London today. And there he is. What's up, Phil? How are you, brother? This is I hope you can stick around for this interview. What's up, Yash? This is oh, I think he's live. All right, so I'm gonna do before we go live, Reese. I'll just do a little preview for Phil, Yash, and whoever else is in the live. And I guess we can. This is recording right now too. Instagram live. Reese, I've been following for a while, and just keeping track of what he's been doing in the filmmaking world. It's been interesting to see his take. On the effect the pandemic has had on his filmmaking. So he's making films out in London again, and he has a film he's working on, the bad influence. He's been working on for a while, and now is at the point of let's get started. Let's get the funded. Let's get the funding. Let's pay everyone and let's go. And I'm excited because I'm talking to him right before that, and I hope that he gets the correct funding for all of this. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that, details about the film, the effect the pandemic has had on it, and just his inspiration for the film as well. So without further ado, I'm gonna get Reese on this live. So give me just one moment. Oh wait, waiting for. All
Hello.
right. Hey, what's up, Reese?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm pretty good too, man. How is it
Awesome.
over? How is it over there in London?
Um, Still, it's not bad, but it's not good either. I'd say it's about 60-40, 60% good, 40% bad, because the coronavirus cases are starting to rise up a little bit more. So that's what I would say. But apart from that, everything's pretty okie dokie.
I love it, man. Well, I'm glad to be talking with you uh, face to face here on the Instagram live.
Sides face. You're up
Yes,
there, I'm down here.
exactly. You're across the pond. You're across the large
Yes.
the Atlantic Ocean. Yeah, I'm in
Mm.
Newark, New Jersey, for right outside of Newark, New Jersey, a little 20 minutes outside of New York. For those of you who don't know, Reese is smack dab in the middle of London, making films. I guess
Capital of the
what's that?
capital of the UK.
Capital of the UK. So I guess before we go into the bad influence, for those of you, for those people listening who are gonna listen to this, who don't know about Reese Manigan, and I said your last name right?
Yes, that's correct. Manigan. Yeah.
Okay, Reese Manigan.
It's just quite cool to hear with an American accent. It sounds so much cooler. Manigan. I just love it. It sounds so much cooler.
um, or we So tell the audience here today, and who are going to listen to this, just a little bit about you, your filmmaking career, why you're making films, and why you're so passionate about filmmaking.
Um, Film. It's funny how film kind of started out for me, because originally when I was a kid, I didn't want to become a filmmaker. I wanted to become a wildlife presenter. I'm a huge, I love animals. I'm a huge animal lover as well as a film lover. I love nature and the story of evolution and everything like that. And obviously, I'm a huge David Attenborough fanatic as well. You know, David Attenborough, if anyone doesn't know, he's a huge, famous wildlife presenter in England. And I always wanted to kind of be like him. But then obviously what happened was it kind of changed for me when I got more interested in how those documentaries were getting made about, you know, all the wildlife and the nature and everything like that. And I was kind of like, I wonder, you know, how do they do get all that footage and everything like that? How do they get all those animals on camera? And then obviously I realized that's what I wanted to do, was to do filming, make films and create stories. And then obviously I got more into fiction films as I grew up. And obviously I grew up with childhood movies, Disney films and stuff like that. But then obviously live action stuff came on board. And obviously as I grew older, I started watching more and more movies. And I think I realized that I really, really wanted to do that instead, because I've realized I was more better at creating fiction stuff than documentary true life stuff, really. And I realized I had this imagination in my brain where I could actually go off and make all these like incredible stories. So yeah, I just realized that I just really loved telling stories. I used to do a lot of writing as a kid. I used to read a lot of books. I was a fan of Charles Dickens as a kid. I was a fan of many books, a little bit of Rudyard Kipling. And I've read a lot of like true story books as well, nature books and everything like that. So it kind of just inspired me to start writing and come up with different ideas. And then my official first movie, I guess you could say, was a short film I did back in 2006 called Horrorland. And that's on my YouTube channel right now. And I was 14 at the time. And, you know, we got put together to make this short stop motion animated film. And since then, that's when I realized that this is what I wanted to do. And since then, I've been making films ever since.
That's great. And I just saw you, your last post, 15 years, was it? You celebrated
Yes.
15 years. How was that celebration, my friend?
Well, obviously this year I wouldn't say is a great year for celebration, which is unfortunate. But to be honest, I'm not going to throw a massive party about it. But the fact that I've reached 15 years is quite a strong point. I mean, it's like if I reach 20 years or 25 and then 30 and onwards. I celebrated 10 years of filmmaking 5 years ago, and I made a short documentary about that, and that's on, saying about all the films that I've done so far, and I've just moved to London and what I want to dream and hope for and doing. And now it's been 5 years later, and I've just finished university. I'm still living in London, and I'm still building up my portfolio every day, and it's getting stronger and stronger because the amount of contacts I have made over the past 15 years is incredible. I mean, there's been loads of people who have actually friends who are famous who come and get in touch with me. I actually have a friend who is friends with the actor Danny Dyer. I've even got a friend who actually has been working on films in America, and he lives in England, but he's worked with Daniel Craig, and you could name a list and he's been there, and he's one of my contacts as well. I've met people who have worked at Pinewood Studios, and I've even got a few tiny celebrity followers on my Twitter, which is quite surprising. And it's quite amazing how these contacts have kind of just risen really over the past 15 years. And although I wouldn't consider myself as being famous, although sometimes I do get jokes and say, you're famous. I wouldn't say I was. And the thing is, it's not about being famous. I like making films because that's my purpose in life. It's given me a purpose in life to do that. And it gives me a reason to wake up in the morning, because this is my life and my job. This is what I do, because unfortunately I haven't been able to go after anything else, and no one wants to give me a chance for any other normal jobs. So I thought, well, then I should go out and just make my own job. And so this is it, because I see life as a one-off temporary gift. And, anything could happen to me the next day. I could wake up the next morning and find out I've got an illness. I could get hit by a car. I could get mauled by a dog. I could get, go to the zoo and get eaten by a hippo one day. You never know. And so you got to live life to the fullest, because I believe in that when you're gone, that's it. You're gone forever. So live this one life, but do the life that you need to do. And then your life will go in a smoother direction if you go after what you're doing. And I've got to say that over the past 11 years, I would say, have been probably the most massive 11 years of my life compared to where I was back then to now. And so I'm doing what I'm doing every day because I've realized that this is what you've got to do. And I wouldn't change it for the world, because I love what I do, and I love the films that I do. I love, the ideas I can come up with. Obviously not every idea is great. I will put my hands up to that. But, at the end of the day, if you don't have a good idea, the best idea is to refresh yourself and move on to the next one, which will work. And also you've got to focus on your failures. If you've made a film that doesn't work, focus on the next one that will succeed.
Amen to that, brother. Amen. So congrats again on 15 years. That's huge. That's massive.
Thank you.
And sticking with it, and just that's a testament to your willpower and just your passion for this. So congrats, man.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. So, and then I guess last question before we go into this film is, like, tell the audience a little bit about the types of films you like to make, your style, and if you want to use the word genres. But yeah, what type of films you making, and why are you making those types of films?
Well, I can honestly say that I've got a very twisted sense of humor, and I love dark humor. I love black comedies. I love horror films. I grew up pretty much loving to be scared of darkness stuff. I mean, if you think about, like, if you watch Disney films from, like, for example, Snow White, Pinocchio, anything like that, they're not really kids' movies. They're very, very dark films. And I actually loved most of those films because of the darkness. I mean, God, if you look at Pinocchio now, there's smoking in the film, there's drug taking, there's, being a rebel and stuff like that. And it's like, but they say, I believe that you need a bit of darkness to understand what life is all about. I mean, for example, the film American Tail, about the small little mouse that got lost from his family, and he was on his own throughout the film. That movie taught me that life is not safe when you're a kid on your own, and you haven't got your parents with you, and you separate from your family, and there's strangers all over the place, and they can do some terrible, terrible things. That movie actually taught me that as a kid, but I loved it because of the dark side of it all. And I just grew up loving darkness, and my favorite films are definitely inspired by dark films. I mean, The Shining is my favorite movie of all time. That is one of the best movies of all. Film, very psychological, and Stanley Kubrick, of course, is one of my favorite directors. Clockwork Orange is my second favorite movie of all time because it's just such a unique movie. There's nothing like it out there in the world today. And my third favorite film is Joker, because again, it's about a character that involves getting into darkness. And to be honest, I think really my favorite movies all involve villains. I think because villains are the most entertaining characters in films. And if you look at the way the films are today, we don't look at villains as villains anymore. Villains used to be, oh yeah, we're evil, we're going to destroy the world and everything like that. Now we kind of more make films about, villains who have why do they turn bad? There's, we kind of understand them more, rather, because I think nowadays the film industry's changed of what is a villain, what is a hero. There is no such thing. And it's not about being good or evil. It's about the actions you take. So I kind of focus on, I kind of make films like that, but I kind of like to show the funny side of things. I do loads of comedies. I grew up with loads of comedies. I have a wacky sense of humor. I like to make people laugh a lot. And but most of my films do involve talking about characters who go through dark situations. Also friendship. Friendships is a big influence on my films, because I didn't really grow up with many friends, but I was also saying that friends can be like your family, that you know, because there's a saying, you can't choose your family, but you can choose your friends, and in a way friends are like your family, so in a way you can choose your family. And I also like to focus on films that aren't cliche. Like, for example, I don't like films where the main man is with the main female and then everyone's like, oh, they're going to get together, they're going to get married and have kids at the end. I don't do that. I make films where a guy and a girl can meet, but they don't, it's not always about having sexual chemistry. It's all about friendship. It's not just about, you know, they can just be friends and civil, you know, because everyone just assumes that when you watch a film about a man and a woman, the first thing they're going to think of is they're going to get together and have sex and have kids, and then they're going to get married, and it's a happy fairy tale ending. I'm just like, nah, it's not always like that. And you know, and also, it's not just about a man and a woman. There are, you know, gay people exist. It can be about a man, and they get together, and they could and they want to maybe, you know, look after kids in the future, stuff like that. Or a woman and a woman. You know, it's not always about a man and a woman. And this whole cliche of, you know, all this. I personally believe that, you know, anybody can make anything, but it can't be all cliched. And that's what I go for. I go for films that aren't cliched. I go for different ideas. I don't go the whole route where everyone's going to assume this is what's going to happen. And you know, because otherwise, if I did that, I think my films would be very boring. And so I always like to go a different way to surprise the audience. And then they can look at that and they can go, oh, that, you know, that's different, you know. I mean, I've made tons of like different endings in horror films, the short films I've done, where it's never a happy ending and it leaves it open-ended, but there's never going to be a sequel. And then people go, I never expected that to happen. So that's what I always like to go for in terms of my projects. So that's what I go for.
Thank you for that explanation, man. That was perfect.
It's fine.
Yeah. So now tell us what type of film we're working with the bad influence. What is the audience who comes across your film when it's produced? What do you want them to get out of it? What is the bad influence? And you know, this is your biggest. In your post, it was this is one of your biggest ventures thus far. So what kind of film are we working with here? Tell us a little bit about Bad Influence.
Well, like I said, I don't want to spoil details of the plot because there's a lot of twists in the film. But what I will say is it's about two girls. One of them's called Chloe and one of them's called Anna. And they have a very dark history together. They're meant to be best friends, but let's just say that they don't fully trust each other. Chloe is like water and Anna is like electric. You put them together, there's going to be a friction. So basically the moral of the story is your best friend really the one you should trust? As the film is about these two girls who have a very bad history together. They don't trust each other, but they have to. And then something puts them together that has to make them trust each other. And then every time they try and fix this problem, things slowly get darker and worse. But what I would say is that the film is a psychological thriller. It's a very unique because, as I said, there's loads of twists involved. It's very British indie film. I'd say it's like, have you heard of the film This Is England and Dead Man's Shoes? And Tyrannosaur and The Disappearance of Alice Creed. And I'm just thinking of some other British indies. I mean, Thoroughbreds was actually one of my inspirations. That's an American indie, so that's kind of similar. But what I'm aiming for is a very gritty, low-budget film which has a very unique story about these two best friends that literally have to be put to see who, because I'd say as well it's a bit like the movie The Lighthouse, because The Lighthouse involved just two characters and it's kind of like you don't know which one to trust. You know, do you trust Robert Pattinson or do you trust William Dafoe? Because one of them goes a bit more darker than the other and then it kind of flips. This is what Bad Influence does. you don't know which character to kind of fully trust, because one minute you're siding with one character, then you're siding with the other, and then halfway through it kind of flips, and then you're thinking, oh, maybe we should side with that character and not that one, and then it kind of flips again. But it's kind of like a battle of the wits. It's kind of like a cat and mouse game, but no chasing. It's like a cat and mouse game, but there's no hunting. It's just kind of like one of them is trying to outsmart the other psychologically. And, you know, it's very realistic because they do get put in these sort of real life situations. And it's just kind of like, kind of messing with the audience's head of, you know, who do we trust more, who do we don't? And the reason I want to make this film is because I think this idea is just so clever in terms of the way I've written the twists. I can honestly say, out of every script I've written in my life, this is my favorite script. This is my favorite story. And everybody has loved the script. Even people that unfortunately didn't want to be in the film, they've still loved the script. It's particularly the ending. Everyone always has a reaction with the ending. And I can't spoil what the ending's going to be because, as I said, it's a major twist. And I love that because it's like everybody's watched it and they've gone, oh my God, I just saw the ending. And it's like, yeah, that's the reaction I want from the audience. So I would say that after 2 years of trying to make this project, I really want to try to see how far I can take this, because I will put it out in film festivals. I want to try and put it out in a cinema. I want people to watch this. I want it to get distributed. And if it was, chances of me making my next film with a higher budget, with other bigger actors, maybe getting a bigger crew, anything like that, then that is what my aim for is. And I think this movie is the start for me to take that journey forward.
That's awesome, man. No, I really hope the best for this production when you get the ball rolling. I mean, it's already pretty close. Again, Reese is looking for funding for this film. And I'm here just to talk to you guys a little bit about details about this film and get from him more information about it. So let's get into, you know, what inspired this film. You know, you said 2 years, right? And you mentioned this is your best script, your favorite story. I mean, this has to be, for someone to say that, has to be a lot. You know, personally, I haven't been able to say that yet about one of my pieces. So this has got to be coming from a really deep place. So what really inspired this, Reese?
Well, I will say this: the stuff in the film, none of that's actually happened to me. That's all I can tell you. But I will say, because the thing is, I mean, the whole trust thing for me is kind of real life, because I've had loads of people that pretend to be my friends, and they kind of stab me in the back. Not literally, but they have, and I have a very small circle. And I have to be very careful who I talk to and trust and everything like that. But the story was definitely inspired by Thoroughbreds, because Thoroughbreds is about two girls who, it's a very different story. They have a history of a dark friendship, but they plot to do a murder. That's a very different story. But I've always wanted to do an indie film about, like I said, about making something darkly comedy, about a couple of characters. And again, it's this history of what's a hero, what's a villain. You know, there's no such thing. It's all about what your actions are going to be. And I thought it'd be so interesting to see if is this person, even though they're your best friend, are they really what they say they are, or are they just using you? But then there are moments when you see that they actually generally care about you, but then do they or don't they? That's what I'm trying to say. And I love films that mess with audiences' heads. Thoroughbreds kind of does that. Lighthouse done that. The Shining does that. Clockwork Orange does that. Joker does that. Hereditary does that. Midsummer, that does that. Eyes Wide Shut that does that. There's tons of it. And I just thought there's something that I could do where I take a piece from that film and kind of put some tone of that film into that, and I put it from another film and tone, mix the tone with that, and it's just like loads of bits that from dark films and indie films and stuff that I would love to write, and I think I could write something like that. I could do something like that. So I kind of test a write of a script, and I think this could lead somewhere. Because this script, this wasn't just my idea that I wrote once and said, yep, it's done. This took me about 7 drafts. Like, in fact, there was I actually had 4 different endings, in fact, from the original drafts, and none of them were working. And then I was looking back, and I was thinking, what can I do to make this film have a shocked ending? Let me think. And I remember sleeping on it, and I remember waking up, and I was just like, I've got this really good idea for an ending. And I wrote it, and then I showed it to my best friend, Charlie, who's my right-hand guy. He read the script, and he said, this is the ending that you should definitely put down. And he said, the script is perfect. This is perfect. So once he said that, I thought, perfect. If he agrees with it, because I trust him more than anyone, then the script is fine. So then I left it there. And then I finally thought, this is it. And so, so we finally had my story.
Wow. That's big time, man. That's big time. Yeah, 7 drafts going into it. That's impressive. That's a lot of work. I know the process,
yeah,
man. Not easy. So
no, not easy at all.
I'd be curious to know what those other endings were one of these days if we keep talking, and maybe over a couple glasses of wine one day when I travel to London.
I actually don't drink alcohol, so you won't be able to get anything out of that. But I could say one of the endings might have involved, I don't know, an explosion.
We don't even need wine, people. We don't even need
realised we couldn't afford it. We couldn't afford to blow someone's house up, so we had to get rid of the ending for that.
You need Brad Pitt money for that.
Yeah, definitely.
Anyway, so have you found your actors yet for Chloe and Anna? Or Chloe and Anna, is it?
Yes.
Have you found them yet?
We are in the process of talking to a couple of them. But what I've done to my producer is I've sent her a list of potential actors of who we would have if we were able to get our budget. And most of these actors, actresses, whatever you want to say, because it's lead females, most of them have been in very small, low budget TV shows, low budget indie films. There's a couple of movie indie actors involved, just in case we got more than what we bargained for. But the actors we've got, I've seen them on television, and they are really good. And I know that they would be perfect for their roles of Anna and Chloe. I would mention their names, but most of them are very British. I don't know if any of you guys might have heard of them. So I don't think listing them is a good idea, unless But we are in the process of when this COVID is over, we are going to plan to start speaking to them and hopefully see if they're interested or not.
Interesting. So, you're obviously the pandemic, COVID has had an effect on you making this. So walk me through a little bit of that and the effect it's had on producing this film.
Well, the only problem we've had at the moment is the fact that funding companies aren't opening until further notice. My producer's been chatting to a bunch of funding companies and people that can actually help with a budget, and because what you do is you send the script over to them, they look at it and they let you know how much they can give you. But unfortunately, they're not going to get back in touch until January or maybe even November, the earliest, because of COVID. They notice.
little laggy, but uh-oh. Hold on. We're gonna bring him back.
Nope.
Are you back? Fam, Marvin, what's up, man? Philly Celeb, what's up, man? I don't know if you guys are still here. I'm gonna bring Reese back here with us. Good comments you guys are making too. I appreciate the interaction there. So hopefully we can get this connection back. This across the pond, London to Jersey connection. All right,
Hey.
All right, the connection lagged out, I guess. Continue, I guess, with what you were saying. You were talking about the funding companies not being open until further notice. And
yeah, the funding companies aren't opening until further notice because my producer's talking to them, and they said that they're not opening until January, the latest, because unfortunately, because of the companies, because of COVID, unfortunately, they're not opening until further notice. That's as far as I know.
Got it. What's the secret Chloe and Anna have? I'm just kidding. Don't tell me. Don't tell anyone. No. We'll wait.
One of them has better nail varnish than the other. That's the secret.
I dropped you, Reese. I dropped you.
Malfunction.
I dropped you below my desk. This is
fine.
show business. This is show business at its finest.
This is what show business does. Yeah.
Unpredictable. Anyway, all right. So if you don't, your actresses for Chloe and Anna, right? For anyone listening to this here, hopefully in the next few weeks and months, if you're still looking for them, what kind of actresses are you looking for these roles?
Well, Chloe is very British. She's well off. She's not posh, but she's very, she likes to organize things. She's very well dressed. She wears colorful clothes, lovely brown hair. And the character is very, she's quite strict as well, the character. Anna is very different. She's very gothic, very tough. Literally takes no shit off anybody. Will literally, so for example, if you give her a dirty look, she'll say, "What the fuck you looking at, boy?" Something like that, And but deep down, she's very vulnerable. Although she's tough, it's kind of a front. She's a very vulnerable character. So I mean, Chloe and Anna are complete opposites. Chloe's more polite, Anna's more rude. But Chloe is tough when she has to be, but strict. And Anna is tough but vulnerable.
Got it. And is there any other roles you're trying to fill other than Chloe and Anna?
Well, there's about 6 characters in the film. So we've got Chloe and Anna. We've got a character called Nick, who is Anna's boyfriend. We've got a character called Steve. I can't explain what character he is because that'll ruin the plot. But let's just say he is very important to the film. We've got a character called Sarah, who's the comedy character. She is actually Chloe's best friend. She's kind of like very energetic and goes a lot, very typical, very hello kind of character, very fun. And we've also got Chloe's aunt Monica as well. She's also in the film. So yeah, that's pretty much it.
All right. And for these actors that don't know your directing style, what do you want these actors and your cast even who will be behind the scenes helping you out, what do you want them to know about your directing style?
That
what can you tell us?
That I love to get the job done. I have to have reliable people, no one lazy, no one, and I will say this actually. I have what I say a no arseholes policy. I have no stuck up people. I have no one who thinks they can take over the film. I don't like unreliable people, unprofessional people, people who are late, people who can't be bothered to get up out of bed because they would hung over the night before. I don't like lazy people. I don't like people who, basically think they're the biggest actor in the world, even though they've probably only done a few short films, thinking they're all Hollywood. I like people that get the job done. I don't like to slack around. I like to get things done, and I want people that listen as well and communicate very well. Good team players. That's what I look for. But like I said, any slack, lazy arseholes who think they're king of the world, they need to fuck off my set right now.
Understood. Well said. Well said, my friend. So, and we talked a little bit. I think we got to get this on. So, if people look you up, Reese, they're gonna see some comedy, right? So, and you talked a little bit about it already, but how are you gonna mesh the work you've done in comedy production? You've done other short films too. How are they going to mix, and how are you going to utilize what you've done so far in this film, The Bad Influence, if you understand what I'm asking?
I would say this: Bad Influence is not really a comedy. There are some tiny little cheeky moments, but the reason I've made this film quite dark is because I'm taking a risk. I am doing something different. I am doing something that is pushing the envelope. I am doing something that people will not expect me to do. I mean, for example, if you think about it, Jordan Peele, he's a comedy actor. He's done tons of comedy, yet he directed Get Out and Us, horror films, scary, brutal horror films. Yeah, there was some comedy in it, but if you watch those movies, they are pretty fucked up. So we're watching a comedian with a fucked up mind who's made these two horror films. Why can't a guy who makes comedy like me make a fucked up psychological thriller?
There we go. I'm excited to see this, man. I really am. I really am excited to see what you do. Anyone who checks out your YouTube channel, anyone who's listening to this, be sure to check out his YouTube channel. You're going to get some good laughs on that for sure. And there's a specific style I've learned, which Reese has already mentioned, the British indie films. It is in a league of its own, and Reese is one of the front runners in that category. He's been at it for 15 years now. And be sure to check out his YouTube channel. So, Reese, any final things about this film, and what's your deadline? When do you hope to begin filming? And what do you hope to begin filming?
I hope to begin. Well, the deadline for the Indiegogo is in November. But I want to start filming as early as February, March time. And I want to just immediately get things sorted, get the cast, once the budget is done, and just get down to start working on it immediately. It will only take 10 days of filming. It will be very quick and easy because once we got our actors, once we've got our schedule, we just need 10 days filming, get it done, sorted, because most of everything is sorted. Locations, what we can do with it, everything. It's just getting the actors and the budget now. So everything is sorted apart from those two. So as soon as if we can get Indiegogo, that's great. And if the funding company's open again and they help us, that's great. The sooner that happens, the sooner we can get rock and rolling.
Got it. Is there any final things you'd like to mention about Bad Influence before we go?
Um, I would say definitely keep an eye out for it. You know, it's going to be exciting. It's going to be thrilling. It's going to be something that I've never done before. So I would say, here's what I'm going to say. There's a ton of surprises that you will never expect when you watch it. This is not a normal film where you're watching a couple of characters going through their lives and stuff happens. Let's just say shit does literally hit the fan. And let's just say when not just shit will hit the fan, body parts will also hit the fan. And there's going to be blood and situations and shock and horror and literally terrible situations with consequences. That's all I'm going to say.
You just gave me the chills, man.
Good.
I'm super excited for this, man. We're definitely going to be in touch. I'm going to be doing a little write-up on my website. So stay tuned for that. The link for the Indiegogo is in your bio on your Instagram, right, Reese?
It's not the bio on my Instagram. I've been sharing it on my stories, but you can find it. If you actually go on my Twitter, it's a pinned
Twitter.
tweet. It's at Manigan_R. It's my pinned tweet.
It's your pinned tweet. Got it. And follow him on his Instagram and Twitter, RM_director, right, Reese?
That's on my Instagram, and my Twitter is at Manigan_R.
At Manigan_R. Beautiful. Any other plugs? Any other places you want people to look at for you in this film?
Well, let's just see how the Indiegogo first happens, and then maybe there'll be a few more teasers along the way.
Beautiful, beautiful. Cool, man. Everyone, be sure to check out his YouTube channel, his Instagram. Reese, I'm gonna keep keeping track of your lives you put out and what you're saying about your journey in filmmaking. Hope another 15 years, man. That's big time, and really enjoy talking with you today. All right.
Thank you very much. I've really enjoyed today as well. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
You got it, Reese. Talk soon, all right, brother?
Talk soon, buddy.
All right, man.
Bye.
All right. I learned a ton from you today. And everyone stay tuned for a little write-up I'm going to be doing on him in the film Bad Influence. And be sure to reach out to him if you're interested in being a part of the film. He may have a few open spots left, and I'm sure he needs some help in places. But get excited for the film Bad Influence. And thanks again, Reese. And peace.